Hello everyone, welcome to our journey of mastering the ISO/IEC 42001 Lead Auditor certification. Imagine the world of AI today like the bustling chaos of Connaught Place in Delhi during rush hour. Thousands of people, cars, and vendors are moving at high speeds. It is incredibly exciting and efficient, but without traffic lights, lane markings, or police, it would be dangerous. ISO 42001 is essentially the rule book for those traffic signals. It is a management system standard that helps organizations establish, implement, maintain, and continually improve their AI management. In simple terms, it is a framework that proves to the world that an organization isn't just playing with powerful technology, but is actually managing it with a system. Imagine a hospital in Mumbai using an AI algorithm to triage patients in an emergency room. Without governance, AI might be biased or opaque, perhaps prioritizing patients based on the wrong data. With this standard, we have a way to audit that process to ensure it is fair and safe for everyone. We are moving from the wild west of AI into a structured professional landscape. Now that we understand why this standard exists as our global safety manual, you might be wondering what actually keeps the wheels on this vehicle when things get complex. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is the foundational pillars of AI governance. Let's look at the bedrock of our work. When we audit an organization, we aren't just looking at the code, we are looking at the culture. AI governance is built on three simple things: accountability, transparency, and fairness. Imagine you are a project manager at a major retail firm in Bangalore, building an AI tool to manage personalized customer discounts. Accountability means someone can actually point to a person or a department and say, "You are responsible for what this bot decides." If the bot accidentally excludes a specific demographic from discounts because of biased historical data, someone must be standing there to fix it. Transparency means you can explain how that decision was made. You can't just say the computer said so. Finally, fairness means ensuring the AI doesn't discriminate. Think of these as the tripod that holds up our entire audit process. If one leg is missing, the whole thing tips over. You have probably seen this at the office, where someone pushes a new tool live, but no one knows who owns the data or why the machine behaves the way it does. We are going to change that. So, now that we have identified the pillars that keep our AI projects upright, you might be wondering how we actually turn those abstract pillars into a day-to-day operation. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is the risk management lifecycle. In ISO 42001, risk management is the heartbeat. The standard tells us that we must identify, assess, and treat AI risks. Let's make this simple. Imagine you are operating a smart logistics network in Chennai. You identify the risk of the AI miscalculating delivery routes during monsoon season. You assess how likely it is to happen, and you treat it by building in manual override protocols. With AI, it is the same. You identify the risk. Perhaps the AI model might hallucinate or provide incorrect data. You assess the impact, and you treat it by implementing guardrails or human-in-the-loop verification. It is not about eliminating all risk, because that is impossible. It is about managing it so the organization can innovate safely. I remember a case study where a logistics firm used AI to predict delivery times, but they failed to account for a massive regional road closure. The AI kept routing trucks through flooded streets. That is a failure of risk management. They didn't have a process to check the machine's logic against real-time local conditions. So, now that we see how essential it is to treat risks like a daily business chore, you might be wondering how we ensure our human teams are actually capable of keeping up with these machines. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is the human element and resource competence. We often talk about the software, but as an auditor, I spend half my time looking at the people. You can have the most perfect compliant AI system in the world, but if your employees don't understand it, it is useless. The standard requires that the organization ensure everyone involved in AI is competent and aware. This means training. If I am auditing a team at a fintech startup in Hyderabad, I look for documentation that shows they know the risks associated with the specific financial AI they are handling. Think about it like a pilot's license. You wouldn't let someone fly a plane just because they have read a manual. They need training, practice, and continuous assessment. In the corporate world, this often looks like training modules, clear policy handbooks, and regular workshops. If a data scientist is building a model but doesn't understand the privacy laws related to the financial data they are feeding it, you have a major gap in your management system. So now that we have established that our people are just as important as the code they write, you might be wondering what happens when things inevitably go wrong and we need to fix them. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is the process of continual improvement. One of the most beautiful parts of the ISO 42001 standard is that it is never finished. It uses the PDCA cycle: plan, do, check, act. We plan our AI governance, we do the work, we check the results through audits, and then we act to improve. It is like an athlete in Pune training for a marathon. You don't just run once and stop. You run, you measure your time, you notice you are slow on the inclines, and you adjust your training plan. In an organization, this means that every time an AI model produces an unexpected result or a bias is discovered, we don't just hide it. We use it as data to improve our governance. We update our policies, we retrain our teams, and we harden our systems. I have seen companies that treat their audits as a one-time chore, and they almost always fail to maintain their compliance because technology changes faster than their paper trail. The winners are the ones who treat the audit as a living, breathing part of their week. So now that we understand how to keep our systems evolving and improving over time, you might be wondering how you, as a professional, can actually stand out as a leader in this space. Well, that brings us right into our next step, which is the final piece of the puzzle: the mindset of a lead auditor. To wrap this up, being a lead auditor isn't just about ticking boxes on a checklist. It is about being a detective, a teacher, and a bridge builder. You're walking into a major corporation in Calcutta, often under high stress, to see if their AI governance is real or just window dressing. You need to be observant enough to see the gaps in their processes, but kind enough to help them see those gaps as opportunities for growth rather than failures. When you're looking at a document, ask yourself, does this represent how work actually happens here? When you speak to the staff, listen for where they feel frustrated by the technology. Those frustrations are usually where the risks are hiding. You are the guardian of trust. You are ensuring that as we move into this automated future, we keep the human values of safety, ethics, and logic at the center of everything we do. Thank you for joining me for this first chapter. We have covered the foundations, the pillars, the risks, the people, and the cycle of improvement. You are now ready to start looking at the world of AI with a much sharper, more professional lens. It has been a pleasure walking you through these foundations, and I look forward to seeing you in our next deep dive session.